Sup, everybody. Whew. Okay, one moment. We're back on Wednesday now. I don't know. Days just fly by so fast. What was that noise? I think I closed the door. I just came in. So the sound you guys heard probably was me closing the door. Just came in. A moment, let me switch over. There we go. Welcome. Okay, Wednesday live stream. We're gonna be talking a little bit about the videos I uploaded, kind of responding to the comments live, because I think these kind of highly controversial videos is maybe worth is it worth it to go through the comment, comb through it, and kind of review what is going on, what people have been talking about. There's a lot of input. Like, this video is gaining a lot of traction. I hope people are doing good with it, right? I mean, a lot of people really agree with the sentiment, with how disgusting it is to get so butthurt over a video game character. But at the same time, I really hope they do something with this information. I really hope they kind of edge HoYoverse on in the opposite direction. But like, don't worry, HoYoverse, whatever you guys lose on the CN server, we'll double it. Maybe not that extreme, but I really like like I said, I really hope people are doing good with this information and trying to spread the positivity and seeing where this all goes. Wanderer drama is crazy. Yeah, it is. And some people are also saying, like, well, I do think that all this noise and drama is just made by a very small percent of the community, which I like. Listen, I don't think they are wrong. Firstly, I don't believe this is like more than 1 to 3% of the community, maybe even less than that, right? However, that's if we're talking about the total number of players. Like, out of, let's say, I'm just giving a ballpark number, out of like 10 million players worldwide, that's like less than 1%, maybe, give or take. However, if we're talking about the CN server and the ones who are active online, we're probably looking at maybe more like 5% of the CN online community. Because remember, there's a lot of players who don't interact online. So of course, just like me, if nobody came to me telling me that there was a Reddit post about this drama, I wouldn't have known. It wouldn't have reached me, right? So yes, you guys are right. It's not as big as maybe the videos I've made has led on to us to believe. However, it's still a problem, because right now, especially those who are online on forums in China, they are worried. They don't want to share their enthusiasm for Scaramouche. There's a group of people that are being silenced essentially through this wave of hatred, which then we have to beg the question is, like, should we turn a blind eye and not talk about it because that's such a little amount of people that's being affected? Or should we spread the word, get people out there knowing what the hell's going on, and maybe, just maybe, we can support them overseas? Thoughts and prayers, right? That's the key thing. Our thoughts and prayers go out. Boss says, long time no see, wanted to stop by, say hi, chill for a bit, got a long day tomorrow. Boss, what's up, man? It has been how many months? I can't even remember the last time I saw you, at least in stream. Yeah, I mean, it's a great time you popped in. We're like, nothing too crazy. We're just here talking, chilling, as always. Rihanna says, well, the crazy ones are usually the loudest. Yes, they are usually the loudest. And also, I hate to say this, but there's a very good chance that a lot of them are also like financial contributors to Hoyoverse, meaning that they're spenders. They're like big spenders as well. Now, of course, there's maybe there's a Venn diagram and there's like 3 circles. We got the Skara haters, we got the whales, and then we got the like the people online or whatever, like Venn diagram. The overlapping area is unfortunate, but that's the one I'm talking about. It's like the people who are both Skara haters and always online, and like they're vocal and always online, and they're also huge whales. And if those 3 things kind of hit it off, then unfortunate for Hoyoverse, they're gonna lose quite a bit of money from these people. Because not only are they going to make a stance for Scaramouche, they're going to make a stance against Hoyoverse for not listening to them and maybe deleting Scaramouche or showcasing him less. Like, this is what I meant by vote with your money. If you have the dedication and the commitment to latch onto something and start a movement or join a movement to show Hoyoverse like, hey, we're not going to take this laying down. I want XYZ in the game. If you don't give me this, I'm not going to spend any money, and I'm going to constantly harass you about this in every like given opportunity. It's just unfortunate that instead of harassing solely Hoyoverse for something they want, so they could say like, Hoyoverse, we're boycotting all Scaramouche banners. We're going to start this movement and we're going to try to convince other people to boycott Scaramouche banners. However, instead of doing that, they went like to the extreme and started harassing, bullying. Now they achieved a similar effect. I would even argue that they achieved a greater effect than they would have otherwise had they just went around and be like, don't pull for Scaramouche, don't pull for Scaramouche. But this boycott, like this toxicity, was able to get people to be fearful of pulling and investing in Scaramouche in the thought of, well, if I pull and invest in Scaramouche and I try to flex it or I try to share this great achievement, people are just going to shit on me. People are just going to harass me. People are going to bully me. So then why would I invest into something that I can never share with anybody online? Again, that's just my perception of this. It's not necessarily how it is, but I'm just saying that to a certain degree, whenever we decide who we want to pull, to a certain degree, okay, this is just relatives, that we care about other people's perception of the character. Let's say I would love to get a C6 Yelan and showcase her online and be like, look at me, C6 Yelan, amazing. And people are going to be, wow, C6 Yelan, so cool, so strong, solo content. Hey, do you have any clips of you soloing Spire Abyss? I sure do. Solo Abyss. It's just, there's that feeling of, oh, I'm so excited to share this achievement. Whereas now with Scaramouche, it's like not only do you can you not share the achievement, you have to actively hide your achievement, right? Like this is like makes it feel like you just achieved some war crime or something like that. You're like hiding it like between your ass cheeks so you don't get found out, which is like a weird feeling, is it not? Zane3X, my man, thank you so much for joining the channel. Thank you. Mwah. Kisses here. Get a kiss. The HVK says it didn't work with Dia because CN doesn't care about Dia like that. Oh my goodness. And there's the whole thing about the dark-skinned debacle. There are people on CN who like dark-skinned characters because at the end of the day, it's more of like a personal preference thing. But you are right. There is a huge problem with like dark-skinned characters. Seen as maybe not so beautiful. Then again, Dia is not supposed to be beautiful. She's like a battle-hardened like mercenary. So there's something like I could go into a whole tangent about this when it comes to CN and their beauty perceptions and standards and whatnot, but Dia definitely doesn't fall into the category of like a beautiful woman that I want to pull and waifu. She feels more like a brother type character, you know what I mean? Like fellow brother, my man, my guy, my dude, part of the boy gang. She like has that vibe to it. Like if you were to really evaluate her like her character archetype and target audience. I showed a character from if you guys don't know, what's her name again? It's from Jobless Reincarnation. It's the Wolf Lady. It's like the same archetype of that character. It's like a strong female character that has their own goals and ambitions and stuff like that, right? And in China, like that entire archetype of character in China is just a little bit niche as well. So Dia was never made for the CN audience. I can say that much to you guys for sure. Dia was never made for that audience, and it doesn't surprise me one bit to see that like her not doing well at all in the CN audience. Princess Peaches, they're literally gonna make it so there is less playable, morally gray characters. Why do people gotta ruin thing? Yeah, so Scaramouche is a huge risk to begin with. Like having a character that's more that has basically just joined us from the dark side, right? And doesn't really do much to redeem himself is a huge risk. But as you guys can see, a lot of CM players, they're very like they're very vanilla, if that makes any sense. Princess Peach with the 199, thank you, says this Skara-ish is really bad for morally gray too. Right now, I don't know how Hoyoverse wants to approach Arlecchino. I actually have a video planned with another Reddit post that I came across. I haven't released the video yet, but I can release it after the live stream, and you guys can kind of get my thoughts there. Which is like, Arlecchino is another what do they call it again? They're from the Fatui Harbinger, and with the release of Wanderer Scaramouche, which is the second playable Harbinger, I do have hopes in the future for more Harbingers. But then again, Scaramouche is slightly a letdown in comparison to someone like Tartaglia, who came out almost 3 years ago. Right? Tartaglia came out almost 3 years ago, which is crazy to think about. But Scaramouche coming out relatively recent, doesn't feel like a character that had 3 more years to be developed, or not like he was in development for 3 years, but it's just like they have 3 more years to polish this character to make him feel interesting. But an interesting similarity that they both share is that their elemental skill puts them into this different state of being. Tartaglia went into this like a hybrid attack stance, right? Went from bow to this water, like, I don't know, like what is that thing? Water daggers, right? And then Scaramouche went from his normal boom 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 catalyst attacks to this like battle mage Hazel type thing, right? Like kind of whipping around, like throwing hands and stuff. So maybe all the what I just said it. What's their name? All the Harbingers. Yeah, maybe all the Harbingers will have like a different type of transient stance when they press their elemental skill. So maybe Arlecchino will go into something different, right? Which and like, so far the 2 Harbingers, both their burst skills have been very simple. Scaramouche is like a big Anemo attack, and Tartaglia is a big Hydro attack. So it's like the 2 Harbingers that we have gotten so far actually shares a lot of similarities in their kits. Right now, the biggest concern is that if they follow the trend that bad characters cannot be playable, and Arlecchino doesn't prove herself to have like a redeeming arc, then she might not be playable, right? Like, we don't know. They never had a precedence. They tried it with Scaramouche, but you see why Arlecchino, or Arlecchino, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Arlecchino. why she might have an easier time with the fan base than Scaramouche is because first and foremost, she's a female character, and I'll say it first. Like the female community of Genshin Impact and video games in general are just not as toxic as the male community. Like that. Okay, maybe that's like sexist, right? But I'm just saying it. I've never really seen like a bunch of girls band together to be extremely toxic and hateful. Usually they do it behind people's back. I said it. Mark that down. That's just my experience. Like, I'm not saying girls are not toxic or female gamers cannot be toxic. I'm saying they're usually toxic in private, in secret. They're not outwardly toxic, and they don't want to be confrontational a lot of the times, right? Like the ladies usually keep to themselves. Like they do have bad things to say. Don't get me wrong. They do have bad things to say. They could be toxic, but they just don't go out of their way to hurt other people with their toxicity. Right? So if Arlecchino comes out and she is like this batshit crazy lady, which I don't think she is. I think there's a lot more complexity to her character. She seems more like a calculated, controlling type character. You know what I mean? She gives me Kafka vibes, kind of like mommy Kafka vibes. Very controlling, maybe manipulative, and like, but has that fierce side to her. Like, don't piss her off because she's gonna freaking bust your kneecaps or something like that. I don't know what she's gonna do. But she seems like her evil is much more, like it's more hidden. Her evil seems like it's hidden under your skin, much unlike Scaramouche Wanderer, who is just like crazy. He's like abusive. He's like he's full of hatred, right? And he just wants to cause chaos. Where like Arlecchino, very different. And I think it's interesting how HoYoverse has developed a lot of these characters. For example, let's talk about the Doctor. The Doctor is very like, he's curious for knowledge. He like to the point where he kind of divided himself into like different pieces, right? To gather more knowledge, to live longer or whatever. There's so many things about that character. He seems like he is he's also manipulative. The Doctor feels also very manipulative. He feels like the type where, how should I explain it? Like, he controls people through like, I don't know. For example, Scaramouche controls his subordinates through just fear, right? Like he's like, oh, you're gonna listen to me because if you don't, I'm gonna kill you, or I'm gonna like do whatever the hell to you. Like that's how Scaramouche probably gets his people to do stuff, where he abuses them and stuff. But the Doctor seems like he has something else on his subordinates, right? Like so far, he seems like he doesn't really bully them or treat them poorly in any way, shape, or form. But I feel like he's the type of character who really has a grip on everything. Not only on his subordinates, but maybe even on some other harbingers. Because remember, the Doctor was one of the ones who contributed greatly to brainwashing Scaramouche in the first place. So yeah, Doctor is a mastermind. Yeah, he's the big brain guy. Whereas Arlecchino seems to be the calculating type, like similar to the Doctor. Like, I think Arlecchino is a direct female counterpart to the Doctor. To say that, but like she also seems to be very outspoken. Do you guys remember that trailer where they were all gathered to mourn La Signora, and she was like the most outspoken one. She basically told all the other harbingers to shut up. Right, not all of them, but like the banker, at least. What's his name? The banker. Yeah, so she was like, keep your mouth shut, right? Because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So it's just like, what the hell's going on? This crazy dynamic that like I'm surprised that they don't get into fights every single meeting. Like I just imagine they walk into the room sometimes and they're already really pissed off at whatever the hell they're dealing with. and then like somebody else just rubs it in one extra time, and then suddenly it just breaks out into a fight until Joker or the Tsaritsa comes in and be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And like, stop. Yeah, or Joker breaks them up, or somebody joins in and breaks them up, something like that. It seems more like that kind of that kind of organization, like just from that encounter with them last time. Marcus Boas, it's because of Piero. Yeah, and speaking of Piero, there's been people saying like he seems like a Conrian. Maybe he was like a Conrian militant or a high-ranking officer from Conria or something like that. He seems like he's involved with Conria or from Conria. There's so, and like he started with the Tsaritsa. So basically now we're getting into lore speculation, right? Which is also juicy. It's very rare for me to talk about lore here, but like thinking about Joker and his involvement with Conria and the Tsaritsa, like maybe Piero is the single thread that links the like both the past into the future in the story right now, meaning he suffered from the past, and because of that suffering, he's decided to join side with the Tsaritsa, who maybe has something much bigger planned than just for Teyvat. Maybe she has things planned for what's beyond, right? Because if we talk about the celestial realm, I don't know if they exist within the realm of Teyvat or they govern Teyvat and other realms. You see what I'm saying? So if the Tsaritsa is trying to fight back and she needs the Gnosis, like what are you going to use? Like, let's be honest. What are you gonna use the Gnosis for? If not to fight Celestia, if not to fight against the literal gods of the world, then what do you need the Gnosis for? The Archons? You can already fight the Archons. You fought the Archons. In fact, just to get their Gnosis, you're fighting the Archons. So it's just like, really, at the end of the day, it's been painted very like obviously to us that the final enemy it has something to do with like gods or celestial beings. They don't need the Gnosis to take over the world. In fact, if they really wanted to take over the world, after taking the Gnosis from the Archons, they should kill the Archons. But then again, the Archons would just get replaced, right? They get reincarnated or something happens, another one just comes to replace them. So maybe taking their Gnosis and then not killing them is the best way to keep the current imbalance of power. You guys know what I'm saying? Celestia created the Gnosis. Yeah. So they need the Gnosis to like, or the power. But like, then again, I don't understand. Can they even use the Gnosis? I don't think they can. Like, there's no way Celestia created this all-powerful like this thing, and then anybody who get their hands on it is going to be able to use it. Which I don't think so. It doesn't make any sense. So what are they using Gnosis? For me, there's another plan to use Gnosis. Maybe like the Gnosis are keys or something to open something. I don't know. Zhongli just gave it over. Venti was drunk when his got stolen or something like that. He got his ass kicked. It's just, and the Archons never seem to really put in much effort to take it back. It's for the Infinity Gauntlet. Sounds about right. It seems like they're collecting the Gnosis for something. Anita is saying, I wonder will the Fatui are going to collaborate with the Abyss Order in against Celestia. Because the Abyss is also fighting against Celestia, right? At least that's where our twin is operating from. So the Abyss is basically comprised of fallen Conrians, right? Because they a lot of them turn into Hilichurls, and some of them turn into Abyss Mages, some of them turn into Lectors. So it's just like the entire Abyss Order is basically the people of Conrian. Jerome is saying, that's what I don't understand. Why the Archons don't seem to care with parting with the Gnosis. That's what my theory, at least what I think is that is that the Gnosis, the power that the Gnosis grants the Archons is like a two-way deal. Yes, it gives them power. Like basically, they needed to unleash their full potential. But right now, like at least all the Archons that that we've come across are like relatively peaceful. Like with their Gnosis, they can do a lot of damage, but none of them seems to do unnecessary amounts of damage. The only bad Archon we really came across is Raiden Shogun, and Raiden Shogun wasn't even abusing that power, right? And wait, when we met her, did she still have her Gnosis? I thought like it was revealed later that she had already lost her Gnosis or something like that. I don't even remember. Like whenever it's the Raiden portion of the story, my brain is like super hazy. But what I recall is that she didn't have her Gnosis. Oh yeah, Yai Miko had it. Right. So it's like see, Raiden Shogun, like most Archons aren't even using their Gnosis. This is the funny part. Like yeah, they had it and it's there. Right. For example, Venti had it, but like throughout the whole ordeal, he never used it. Right? So like it would have been cool to see him use the power of his Gnosis to resolve the problem in Mondstadt when we were there for the quest and stuff, like when we ran into issues and finally we need to overcome a huge hurdle and we couldn't do it. And last second, Venti activates his Gnosis, turns into his freaking Celestia form, right, and draws his bow and one shots just freaking eviscerates an entire mountain with his Anemo power. That would have been cool. He just reshapes the land as we see it, just like boom, and then you really get to feel how powerful the Gnosis is. Right now, if they don't do something with the Gnosis, this is like a big writing problem, which is it's called the Chekhov's gun. Okay, the Chekhov's gun is a writing rule. It's like basically writing 101. You don't make this mistake. Don't do this. All right, for all of you, if you're currently writers, I'm sure you should have learned this from your professor in school who teaches you writing. Writing 101, Chekhov's gun is, if, let's say, you write a scene and when you go into a room, you enter like this cabin in the woods, right? This old cabin, the floor creaks, the wood is dried and flaky. You open the door, as it creaks open, like light bleeds into the space and you begin to make sense of the space, the room. And there's a table, some old furniture, there's a cow, like there's a bear hide or like some bear thing hung on the wall, and off to the side above the fireplace there's like this really nice vintage gun. All right, if you're gonna go in detail and explaining that gun and you're like, oh, it's like a bolt action rifle, like it's obviously used for hunting, you're explaining the gun. The rule of Chekhov's gun is, if you're gonna spend the time and effort to show and explain that gun, which is like not everything you explain have to be relevant down the line, but a gun is what we call like an action, like it's filled with action. In its existence, it's already filled with action. It draws attention to itself. Okay, so if we're gonna mention the gun, just like how you're gonna mention Gnosis, which is like a huge freaking deal. So far, like Scaramouche is the only one who used it, and it felt so underwhelming when he used it. Like, holy crap. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think we should have the power to fight back against a Gnosis. It's literally the power of gods, right? Maybe we're just the protagonist, we're just that good. But Chekhov's gun says, if you're going to show something, you better bring back its relevance. You need to have a payoff. You cannot waste words and time showing something that has no payoff. Like in writing, that's a big no-no, because not only is it going to mislead the reader, it's going to confuse them as well. And it's also very wasteful of your resource, which are words. Words are your resource when you're writing. And if you're going to waste words, showcasing, explaining something that has no future value. You're never gonna use that gun. It's like you spent three sentences trying to like showcasing that gun, explaining what it is, like giving details to it, and then for the rest of the story it never comes back. It's such like, you might think in the moment, oh, I'm painting the picture for them, I'm painting the picture, but if you never really said it, it doesn't matter, because it never, like, that gun never gets used at all anyways. Like, having that gun there, having the gun not there was like, or maybe spend less words talking about it, right? Like, and as let's say, as the traveler scanned the room with their eyes, they noticed several like items that are worn out and out of use or something like that. A bear's hide, old carpet and furniture covered in dust, and rusted rifle hung above the fireplace, right? Stuff like that. But even then, it's like, do you guys see how different it is when we talk about the bear hide and then talk about the old furniture and then we talk about a rifle? It's like, oh, a rifle, he said. Suddenly, it's like, okay, a rifle. That's because it's an action. Like, the rifle is charged with action in of itself. Same with the gnosis. But I'm pretty confident HoYoverse is gonna do something with the gnosis. Like, I'm like, at this point, I am 80 to 90% certain they're gonna do something with the gnosis. So far, they haven't done much with it. Dimfei says, but Traveler also being aided by Nahida, who also holds Gnosis. Gnosis is such a cool concept, but I feel like it's heavily underused. How many people here watched Bleach? When characters from Bleach, like, it's an anime, when characters from Bleach goes like crazy, they're about to like unleash their power. It's called Bankai, right? The captains, the Soul Reapers, they're like Bankai. Literally, they make a big ass statement. The whole freaking atmosphere changes. They give a lot of focus and attention when these characters are freaking like unleashing their full power. Right now, the Gnosis is like the pinnacle of power and strength. Yet, throughout the whole story, we've never seen a single Archon unleash its power. Like, use it like what it was designed to be used by. Like, Scaramouche tried. He got freaking tubes, like, stuck into him, right? Trying to just leverage the power of this Gnosis that it's not even his to begin with. But because he's kind of like a demigod, right, or something like that, he was able to utilize his powers. But it's like, imagine, just imagine if Zhongli used the Gnosis and actually summoned its powers, and then like suddenly all the music stops, and then you see a ray of like yellow light, and then you see like Zhongli with the Gnosis, and then it's going into him. Okay, not like that, but you see Zhongli with the Gnosis in a like very dark, and the Gnosis lights everything up, and then he says something like whatever the hell he can say, and he merges with the Gnosis and he ascends into his Archon form. Oh! Dude, he is him. It's just like so many opportunities to showcase what is that. But then again, maybe they will show it in the future, right? Maybe they will show it. Maybe when we're actually fighting Celestia, the Tsaritsa is going to return the Gnosis. Maybe to even get into Celestia, you need the Gnosis. Maybe all 7 Gnosis, or you need whatever number of Gnosis to create a key to even open the realm to enter Celestia, so you can actually go to Celestia and fight them or whatever, right? So maybe once that's over with, the Archons join in last second, and then as we're kind of getting pushed back, the Tsaritsa gives the Gnosis back to the Archons, and then the Archons all unleash their Gnosis at the same time, like the freaking Power Rangers or something like that. Or like I said, imagine if like Raiden Shogun, Zhongli, Venti, Nahida, and all the Archons like uses their Gnosis all at the same time, and then they just freaking all ascend into their like war god states, and then Celestia is just like, you dare oppose me, my children, and then a huge fight. ensues, hey, I'm all for it. I'll be there. You know I'll be there. But you see, this is how I envision the story eventually progressing. If you're gonna fight against gods, mere mortal strength is not gonna be enough. Imagine if Tsaritsa waltzes in there with her like pseudo archons being the harbingers and just defeats Celestia. Like I honestly, I don't think like that's a very fulfilling thing. Like I think the whole world, the whole Teyvat should rise up against this the cruelty they have faced and essentially living in fear from these deities, right? Azrael15 says, now I can't get the image of Zhongli saying Bankai out of my mind. Yeah, but like they have to use the Gnosis. I refuse to believe they're just gonna leave the Gnosis to in the hands of the Fatui and never reclaim it and access its power. Glitch Variable says, think of it this way, Zhongli is kind of remorseful and laments what he had to do during the Archon Wars. I think the Gnosis removes the conscience and attune them to the principles the Gnosis represents. That makes a ton of sense, actually, because maybe the Gnosis, yeah, like you said, it strips them of their their human side, right? Basically, they don't care about consequences. They become war machines. They become basically they become soldiers of Celestia, maybe. So like towards the end of the story, there's a chance that they never even want to touch or activate the power of the Gnosis because it basically makes them enemies of man. They become foot soldiers. They become like Celestia's pawns. Why hasn't Celestia responded? Don't they know that the Archons are parting with their Gnosis? I don't know if they see it as a threat, to be honest. This is the thing. Throughout many pieces of literature, at least in regards to gods and deities, it always seems like they have this, they're like overconfident, right? And this usually leads to their downfall. Yes, right now Archon's parting with the Gnosis, and they like, it depends how much they know. Do they know that they're willingly parting with them, or is somebody stripping the Archons of the Gnosis by force? I mean, Venti was kind of by force, but to be honest, like, can you guys really say he didn't kind of enjoy getting kicked around by La Signora? A little kind of spicy mommy moment there. I don't know, maybe Venti was enjoying it, like he's just like, oh, kick me harder, yes, mommy. I'm just saying, maybe he played into a little too hard and lost his nose. He's like, oh damn it, that's fine, I'll just drink my way out of this problem. Like, alcohol will solve it one way or another. Zhongli is the only one who seemed like he had a plan. Which is like, when I first saw Zhongli give up his Gnosis, it was like, huh, interesting. Like, there must be something far bigger. The fact that Zhongli even faked his death to begin with is very interesting. Who was he faking his death for? Was it for Celestia? I don't think so, because like Celestia should know he's still alive, because he literally carries like a divine item given to him by Celestia, right? So maybe it's for the people, to kind of fool the people that he governs. Like, I don't know. I really don't know. Jerome says, I want to believe he could have stopped her. I would have preferred that he just gave it to her. Like, I don't need that. Would be in line with his free spirited nature. Getting beaten up wasn't it for his character, but it was, I mean, it was kind of hot seeing. Borderline makes me want to rewatch it. I kind of want to rewatch Venti getting kicked around a little bit by La Signora. Wish that was me. I mean, what? Excuse me? Bethesda says, Walrus, we know that the Dendrognosis was used for the Akasha, and Ruka didn't kill everyone. Gnosis won't override their consciousness. Okay, then there. We just solved that. We just solved that one. I don't know why. Like, because Zhongli could have easily fought off Tartaglia. And I think the Tsaritsa should know that the Harbingers, if it were to come down to a 1v1 between a Harbinger and an Archon, they would lose. I mean, did you guys not see what happened to La Signora? I mean, rest in peace, my lady. But hey, trying to take it by force shouldn't be like La Signora got too comfortable with what she did to Venti that she started acting out in front of Raiden Shogun. Now, girl, I don't know if you know who you're fucking dealing with. One was like a drunk bozo who literally doesn't care. The other one has enslaved her entire nation without blinking an eye. Like, come on, lady, you should really gauge your opponent here. Like, walking up to Raiden Shogun the way she did just was like in of itself stupidity personified. Like, I'm sorry, La Signora like was severely like I'll be Venti killed La Signora. That's basically what I'm saying. Venti made it feel like it was too easy to walk up to an Archon and mess around with no consequences. Just saying. You learn these lessons early on so you don't get your ass beat later on. That's why I rather get my ass beat by my mom when I was little than my ass beat in prison by my prison mate. Hey, just saying. You learn these lessons early so you don't have to suffer later. La Signora never got these lessons, so she got clapped. Just saying. Dimfus says she didn't even try to oppose Raiden in the first place. She's an ambassador. She even tried to deny travelers dual invite. That's true. We kind of gaslit her, didn't we? We really edged her on into that life or death duel. Did we not? Yeah, and then she took that. We fought her. We won. And Raiden was like, why didn't you kill her? There are no survivors from duels in front of me. She came in, did her thing. The rest is history. All La Signora remains still to this day remain hopeful. Bethesda says, Walrus, I think the Archon sympathizes with the Tsaritsa too. That's why they don't go out of their way to get it back. Isn't the Tsaritsa an Archon as well? Wait, I'm confused. Who's the Cryo Archon? That's what I thought. The Tsaritsa is the Cryo Archon. Yeah, she herself is an Archon. So basically, they're just old pals, right? They're just old pals. It's like the Tsaritsa waltzes up to Zhongli. It's like, hey, Zhongli boy, remember that favor I did you 3,000 years ago, right? Gave you the good badonkadonk, right? It's time to pay your dues. You said in that moment, dude, what wouldn't I do for some good badonkadonk? And I gave that to you. Now I'm gonna need to borrow your gnosis. Thank you very much. Zhongli is like, but like, I mean, that was 3,000 years ago. Like, thank you very much. Time to pay your dues, man. 3,000 years. I'm not even charging you interest, buddy. Hand it over. Zhongli is like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Right? Maybe there was some sort of deal struck between them eons ago, and now he's just paying it back, right? And of course, obviously, it's not to hurt people, not to hurt, right, the world. And so the Tsaritsa is probably using it for something. And only the Archons would even have a chance to begin with to fight back against Celestia. So, like, it makes sense. Basically, an Archon is leading an entire army of soldiers in the Fatui, right? So, like, just think how strong an Archon is in comparison to a Harbinger. Like, if Venti really wanted to fight back against Tsaritsa, if Venti really wanted to fight back against La Signora, she would have never freaking made it out of Mondstadt. Like, it's just that simple. If Venti wanted to, he could have ended her himself. It's just too bad the man is like in a constant state of like drunken goodness. Like, he's high half the time on alcohol or some shit like that. Like, the Archons truly are on a completely different, like, in a different dimension when it comes to power. So, Zhongli giving up his Gnosis is basically like a nod to his alliance almost, or like temporary alliance with the Tsaritsa and her plans. Bethesda says, Walrus, Venti calls Tsaritsa Brand. You're like, my god, are they on a first name basis with each other? Wait a minute. You're telling me Venti and the Tsaritsa are like on a first name basis with each other, and then the Tsaritsa sent an ambassador to Mondstadt who then beat Venti's ass. No, he had to be in on it. There's no way. I don't believe this for a second. I think Venti enjoyed it. I think Venti asked her to do that. Now, think about it. Imagine if you're like a multi-billionaire. Let's say you're a multi-billionaire entrepreneur, a philanthropist, whatever, and your good friend from like 20 years ago, 30 years, 40 years ago, one of his employees waltzes into your company, beats your ass in your company, then takes like the most prized possession your company has to offer and just walks out? No. Personally, I wouldn't stand that level of disrespect. I'm just saying personally, because they're basically like good buddies from thousands of years ago, right? The Tsaritsa and Venti, and then the underling of the Tsaritsa comes into Venti's nation, beats the living shit out of him, takes his Gnosis, and just dips. No, I don't believe that for a second. No. Hey, no way. And Venti didn't even fight back at all. He just, you know what? Talking about that scene too much. We have to watch it now. I have to watch it. You guys want to watch it with me? Of course you do. You guys are all hella sus. We need to reevaluate this scene.
At last, Mondstadt's road.
Imagine if she had the gall to pull this shit in Inazuma. Just like chat. Just pretend for a second she pulled up to Raiden Shogun like this. Imagine. There's no way. There is no way. She would not have the ball. Okay, she does have balls. She would not have the. She does not have it inside her to walk up to Raiden in the same attitude she walked up to Venti.
Ruler in
just say it.
Scurrying through the streets looking for leftovers. Mondstadt calls this a god?
Resident rodent beats invasive vermin.
Don't you dare speak back to me, insolent bard.
Wow, that slap. I even felt that slap.
Absentee Archon of Mondstadt. How impotent you've become.
That smirky wear looks out of place. Did you steal it from your master's face?
Oh, Venti. I don't remember Venti putting up this much of a fight. Damn. I wish she would reach inside me like that.
This is a gnosis. Wouldn't be caught dead wearing this ugly thing in public.
Beauty is a waste when the beholder has no taste.
Oh my god, look, Venti really felt it, didn't he? Look at that. Oh my goodness, mommy. Do it again.
Well, we have what we came here for. Come, before our dear Favonian friends arrive. Leave nothing for them to find.
Yo, Venti got that spice. Venti got that drunk. But he literally got punched the frick. Look. Basically, chat, look, this is an Archon, okay? Watch, an Archon. Took one hit to the abdomen, had his, maybe he fainted because his noses got removed. So nose is removed, and then one firm kick. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh! Look at his face. He's like, oh yes, mommy, yes. Oh! Oh. He's out cold. The Archon of Mondstadt, ladies and gentlemen. The Archon, the strongest military existent. Basically the freaking QB, the tail beast from Mondstadt, everybody. One extraction, one kick, and he was out. And he borderline looked like he wanted. Look, he knew it was coming. He's like, yes, Tsaritsa, I paid you good money for this. Make sure she gets me good. Oh my god.
When the beholder has no taste.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Whew. Whew, this is, let me tell you, every single La Signora like enthusiast under the sun wishes on a daily basis that they would take Venti's place. You cannot convince me that these La Signora mains or the La Signora copium believers don't wish they were in this position. Hell, I kind of wish I was in this position too. I'm just saying. And I'm just a walrus. Oh, that's so beautiful. Can we watch La Signora die in heels too? Yeah, in heels.
We have what we came here
Oh
for.
my goodness.
Come, before our dear Favonian friends arrive. Leave nothing for them to find.
Imagine if the roles were reversed. Twitter would be crying. Let's see. Okay, some time passes by. Okay, this is... You guys want to watch La Signora dying? Okay. La Signora gets clapped. Yikes. Oh my god. How the turntables have turned, baby girl. You are so screwed. So strong. Oh, you know it. We've been grinding that artifact. Why do you think we've been grinding? 10 minutes a day. Oh my goodness. In heels too. Imagine getting clapped by the dull blade. Oh. You see, the tough talk really didn't help her case, did it? Like, acting all tough and high and mighty really didn't help her. That's a death sentence. And that was it. Wow. Raiden, like, I they should not listen. In hindsight, I blame the Tsaritsa. Knowing Raiden, like knowing A's personality, or actually, maybe the Tsaritsa never met A, right? Maybe she never met her, so she doesn't know what kind of personality A had. A is like a strict business, no BS personality. So it's like, at least she is now. Maybe the Tsaritsa met her way back when she still had all her friends before she became like this. So she's like, oh, here, La Senora, why don't you head over to the land of Inazuma? The ruler there is very chill. She's very welcoming, heartwarming, this beautiful, vibrant young lady. You're gonna have a field day there. You're gonna love it. She's gonna treat you to tea. She's gonna take you to picnics. It's gonna be great there. La Senora waltzes over. It's like, oh, okay, waltzes over here, and completely not realizing how much A has changed. Yeah, Tsaritsa knows Makoto, like they should, right? But she only knows her like from way back. I think ever since the Archon Wars, they like Archons don't frequent each other's regions very often, because I don't think Archons can really leave their regions for some reason. Because look at how bored Folklore was. Look at it, look at her. She was like, boring. Like, she's literally bored out of her mind. If she could, would she not just get up and leave and go to another region? Maybe she can go visit A. She can go visit other regions and Archons and go have fun with them. What? But Venti says hi. Venti leaves. Venti is Venti. Venti doesn't count. Yeah. So it's like, why don't they leave more? Why don't they interact with each other more? And the Tsaritsa sending La Senora to Inazuma, I think, was a mistake. I think you should have sent somebody like the Doctor, who is far more disposable, in that he has multiple versions of himself. I think the like La Senora, like if we're thinking strictly, like we're diving ourselves into the game and thinking from the perspectives of the Fatui, I think sending La Senora to deal with someone like A is a mistake. If you know A's personality, the Doctor would have made much more sense, and the Doctor has more leverage in that the Doctor has control over Scaramouche, which is one of A's biggest blunders, right? So it's just, there's so much more the Doctor probably could have gotten done in Inazuma, and La Senora would have really kind of abused her strength and power over Nahida in Sumeru. I'm just saying, like, imagine the dynamic between Nahida versus La Senora. La Senora would bully her like hell. Like, La Senora would do what she did with Venti to Nahida. So it's just like, that's a huge blunder on the Tsaritsa's part, not sending the Doctor to Inazuma instead and reallocating La Senora back into the story at Sumeru. Dotori respects Nahida because she is the god of wisdom and he is an academic scholar. Yeah, like, sure, Dotori gets hard from knowledge itself. So it's like anytime he can learn something new, he practically turns into a psycho. I mean, he is a psycho, but But says, Walrus, Senora was a monster person. She hates him for not saving her lover during the Karma disaster. Because of his absentee, she became the Crimson Witch of Flame and hated him. Yeah, like, I get her hatred for Venti, and maybe Venti didn't fight back because he knows of, like he knows of her, right? Like, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe there's much more to the Venti La Senora dynamic than we know of. So that's why he didn't really lift a finger against her. And maybe Venti does feel some sort of guilt because, yeah, as an Archon of a nation, if you abandon your people during times of war and crisis, Like, you better feel guilty about that afterwards. You were shouldering the burden of your entire nation on you, and you just let them down like that, right? So maybe Venti took those hits, like, willingly. He's like, you know what? I've wronged you. I've let you down as your Archon. You know, I'm ashamed of myself. Blah, blah, blah. Kick me, hate me, abuse me, whip me, choke me, whatever you want to do with me, right? And then send me the bill afterward. Anyways, but yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that sending La Signora to Inazuma was a big oopsie by the Tsaritsa. Shane says, oh, whoa. Shane says, Dotori gets hard from being around Nahida. Now, if we just stop that sentence right there, that's cause for FBI. But then Shane also finishes with, because she has so much knowledge. That's right. That's right. That's right. Going straight to jail. Tim says, again, sending La Signora isn't to take down Raiden Shogun. Fatui just want to destroy Inazuma from the inside out. Right! And really, in hindsight, now seeing what the Doctor can accomplish, do you still think La Signora was the most optimal choice to send to Inazuma? And who knows better than the Tsaritsa of the capabilities of the Fatui agents and the Harbingers? Wind Minion says, have you heard of chess theory, Genshin theory, chess theory? I remember somebody talked to me about it, but I roughly know it because of the gnosis are basically like chess pieces. They're like glorified chess pieces. Naveed Khan is saying, the question is, would the Doctor go though? One of him will probably go. How many of them are there? There's like 6 or something like that. I don't know. What, like, if one denies, I'm sure the other one might be interested. And like I said, the Doctor is slightly more replaceable. Like, if Raiden were to act up and actually fight the Doctor and he loses, like he tries to escape, fails, loses, dies, you didn't just lose an entire officer, you lost a fragment of one officer. There's a good thing about the Doctor is that sending him to risky places has its merits. Sure, it's very costly and difficult to rebuild a fragment, like he mentioned, because, okay, I'm not going to spoil it for people who are still playing through it, but I'm just saying, he can rebuild a fragment of himself. Try rebuilding La Signora. I'm just saying, like, we're gonna pick up the ashes and piece her back together. Hey, don't get me wrong. Maybe they're gonna do that. Again, La Signora mains. Hold out, right? Maybe she's gonna be reincarnated and you can play her. She's gonna be a playable character. Jerome says, apparently the game Piero was playing against a Tsaritsa in the Winter Nights Lazo was a famous match where AI beat a human for the first time. Now, is that symbolic of something? AI beating a human. I don't know. Are we reading too much into this? Maybe that was just like an iconic chess game, and they just decided to use that because it was cool, right? It's very well known. But if we're gonna take that symbolism and move it forward and say, okay, AI beats human for the first time. So in this case, who's the AI? You know, it would be more significant if it's humans reclaimed their victory over the AI, right? Like, if it's a game that hints to humans reclaiming victory over the AI, which has been seen as far superior for a really long time, which then the AI duality could be linked to, you know, us in the mortal realm versus Celestia being AI, which is like this sense of perfection, right? Or constantly evolving beings, or beings of pure superior origin. And we defeated them for the first time. Maybe that would be far more symbolic, but if it's a game where the AI beats humans for the first time, I don't know. If it goes according to the historical match, Signora getting captured is the move that eventually lost the match, so Celestia would win. Yeah, like, I mean, are we a little too optimistic right now in thinking that we're gonna win against Celestia? Remember, we couldn't even hold a candle against the sustainer of heavenly principles. We couldn't do it. Right? So if we think about it like this, do you really think some like harbingers are cool and strong? Don't get me wrong. Piero seems like he's really OP, but is he strong enough to take on someone from Celestia? And who's to say that are all gods built the same? For example, maybe one god is, I mean, sorry. Maybe we're just gonna get clapped by the gatekeepers. What if they're like super strong, like Archon level dudes just guarding Celestia to begin with? We walk in, everybody just get cleaned up like La Signora did. Nahida doesn't seem very strong. Yeah. So it's like not everybody's is going to become strength in battle. And who knows, what if some Archons don't want to join our cause? For example, Raiden Shogun, I don't know, like, is she gonna waltz into Celestia and throw hands? Not Raiden Shogun, but like A, right? Is A gonna walk into Celestia and throw hands? I don't know. The chick from the beginning will be one of the last bosses. So she's the sustainer of heavenly principles. She doesn't even seem like she's a ruler of Celestia. She just seems like she's like one of the Celestia beings. P says, the true answer is the friends we made along the way. Traveler calls out for his BFF. All the playable characters spawn into battlefield and they win. They're all gonna get wiped. What do you mean? You're gonna call Jinyan into Celestia? Like, at that point, you're the murderer. You're the one who summoned her there. Like, why would, like, you're gonna call Jinyan in? You're gonna call a chef from Li Yue in? Like, what is Jinyan gonna do? Like, start a concert? She's gonna shred her guitar? Come on, you can't involve these mortals into the battle between gods. You're gonna have Zhongli here hurling mountains over, and then you're gonna have people like, you're gonna have dimension warping beings over there, like, who just takes a giant mountain, takes a giant box, and the mountain disappears. And then if you look really far down on the ground, you'll see this girl shredding her guitar, being like, yeah. And then Hu Tao is gonna be on the side here. I'm just here collecting dead bodies, yo. Hey, like, come on, guys. Don't involve mortals in the fight among gods. No. That's not how it should be. Yeah, Yunjin singing. You just imagine they're fighting. We got like rapping going on in one corner, pecking opera in the other corner. Xiaoling's whipping up food down there with her portable cook station. Come on. Yeah, I think the only people who can actually even contribute to the fight are like Zhao, probably, he can probably do something. Like, he's not going to be really helpful, but he can do something. Obviously the Harbingers can do something, but I think if the fight really breaks out, like if the war happens between us plus the Harbinger plus the Archon versus Celestia, there's gonna be so much casualty. Madam being gyrating. Adepti, yeah, the Adepti can join in. So all these forces can contribute. Now the Abyss, okay, I think we're gonna be getting our asses kicked until the final moment the Abyss shows up. Kind of like Infinity War Endgame, when Cap was like on the brink of getting murked by Thanos, and then you see the rings open, and then yes, they all come out. Cause look, the Abyss always travels through these weird portal and gates, right? Imagine our most hated existence in the frickin' game, the Abyss mages, along with the Abyss heralds and lectors. Imagine if Celestia, we don't even reach the actual like gods of Celestia. We're getting just our asses kicked by the people like at the gates, right? The gatekeepers of Celestia. We're already getting beat, and then right as we're about to take the final hit, boom, the hit is blocked by a hydro blade, and then you open your eyes to see who is it, who saved me, and it's like, ugh, it's a hydro Abyss Lecter. Ew. He pushes back the person, and then the fight continues. Right? It's gonna have to be a build-up, because you can't just waltz in there, beat their asses, and then be like, thank you for playing Genshin Impact. You know, there has to be, it's like a constant uphill battle. Right? Dainsleif is finally gonna come through and be like, we're back. And of course, we're gonna get the Archons, maybe like Zhongli's gonna help out, maybe Venti's finally gonna come through here and there, really pushing back against Celestia and this oppressive force that's been like keeping us on our knees. I'm not saying anything wrong with being on your knees. I'm just saying, like, just for it's a figment of speech. Keeping us on our knees for the longest time. We're finally able to push back through the power of the Nakamas. As a collective whole, we push back against Celestia, and finally, I don't know if we're gonna finally overthrow them. We're gonna reach an understanding with each other. Maybe the fight ensues for like a really long time, and if Celestia decides, you know what, this is not worth our effort, we can reset, right, Teyvat's rules and government, and we can maybe give Conrians back their freedom. Right? And maybe that's what we're fighting for. We want Conrians to gain their rights back, to get their freedom back. I'm just gonna say it. The power of headcanon. This is the thing. The story will always be better in your heads than in actuality. It's the same thing with most stories. Have you guys noticed most stories don't have an ending that you're very satisfied with? Because while you play through the game or read through the novel, right, your mind is just on crack. You're just constantly thinking, theorizing, anticipating what is going to happen, and like because your mind has wandered through many iterations of the story from the point that you're currently at, which is real canon, and then your head canon pushes you far beyond, right? So it's just you're constantly thinking through, and of course you're using information that we already have to then push the story later on. Because right now I'm not saying that Jin Yan is gonna suddenly unleash her power as the true Pyro Archon and then use the power of her guitar to completely decimate Celestia. I'm not saying that, but I'm using information that we already have. Like, okay, so the Archon has given up their gnosis, and it seems to be a trend that they continuously give up their gnosis to the cause that the Tsaritsa, like for the Tsaritsa, maybe. And Hoyoverse refused to show us what the conversation between these people are. Zhongli has kept his mouth shut. Venti just got it yoinked out of him. Inazuma also handed it over, right? It seems like there's no conflict. I mean, apart from La Signora getting murked, but that's her fault, right? Like if she just if she just kept out of business, I think eventually everything would have just gotten solved. They would have gotten the Gnosis regardless. But it seems like there's very little resistance to the Archons giving up their Gnosis to the cause that Tsaritsa is trying to spearhead. So, and Hoyoverse refuses to show us what that cause is, meaning that it's most likely something along the lines of like using the Gnosis to overthrow Celestia, right? Because Hoyoverse doesn't want us to hear it. That means it must be a huge plot device. And the biggest plot device that you have with the Gnosis, why would you need so much power? Why do you want nukes? Is basically what I'm asking. Why are you collecting nukes from every single nation? And why is every single nation willingly giving them up? The answer is probably there's a bigger problem out there that you cannot deal with by yourself as a single nation. So if somebody is willing to spearhead this, which the Tsaritsa is, she's already put in so much commitment, gathered all these elite soldiers trying to push back maybe the Archons who are battle buddies back in the day, right? They're like, okay, sure, go ahead. But if shit goes south, it's your fault. Just saying. Don't bring me into this. You asked for my Gnosis. If I didn't give it to you, you would have beat my ass. I gave it to you. So if mommy and daddy from Celestia comes down here and he's like, who the fuck started this shit? We're all gonna say Tsaritsa did it. Venti's gonna like pull up his shirt, like look where they kicked me. The broken rib has yet to heal. So it's just like the Tsaritsa is basically shouldering all the responsibility. The Archon's like, oh, you want to fuck with them? Oh, here, take my Gnosis. Holy shit, I'm not a part of this. Don't bring me into this. But here, take my Gnosis. All right. So it's like there's so many different dynamics that could have happened. So, and it seems like the Tsaritsa is the only one who gives a shit. Bethesda says, Walrus, what do you think about Archons being XP from Honkai, Himeko, Pyro Archon, Branya, Cryo Archon? I don't know. I mean, Hoyoverse definitely reused their IPs, but in the case of Genshin, the closest IP we've seen to another title is the Sustainer of Heavenly Principle. They need to find a shorter version of her name. I don't know what to call her. The only name I know her by is the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles, but she looks like the MC from Honkai Impact. Susty. Asmodee is her name. Is that legit? Is her name actually Asmodee? Kiana, yeah, Kiana looks very similar to Susty, so she's called Asmodee. Okay, so Asmodee is basically a splitting image of Kiana. Also, name is Kiana. A is Raiden Mei. That's true. Raiden A looks like Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact as well, and Yai Miko is Yai Sakura. Yeah, I remember that when they first came out. Yeah. Sevi was saying that Locha almost looks like a grown-up version of Aether, and thus the tinfoil hat theory is that Lumine is in the coffin and it's set after Genshin. That is a far reach. Why isn't Locha Timmy and the coffin carries all the pigeons we've murdered? Locha is auto XP. So it's like I would see much more connection between Honkai Impact and Honkai Star Rail. I think Genshin has art inspirations. So this is like, I think Genshin has pretty much just art inspirations and not really like lore connections. Like if Branya is the Tsaritsa, it's only because that they took inspirations from her design. Like HoYoverse has really proven that whatever works for them, it not really even just business decisions, like the banners, the rates, the pity, and whatever like that. They copy and paste so many things into their future titles because once it's proven to work, this is very telltale because they innovated once and their innovation has proven to be very successful and they refuse to innovate any further. So they're basically taking proven worked, like past proven assets, and they're just using that, whether it's in business, whether it's in character, art, personality archetypes, everything. They just reuse it because they know it's worked in the past and it's going to work again. If it's not broken, don't change it. It's the same thing with YouTubers, right? Like, look at me. I found my little niche with discussion content, basically making videos talking about things that I'm interested in Genshin Impact, and it's proven to work. So why would I change it? Look at Tectone. His React videos have been doing very well. Why should she change it? I mean, why should he change it? And look at Ziox, right? Ziox and his guide videos doing very well. He's very good at it, and consistently, it's been proven to work very well. So why should she? So why should he change it? Listen, I'm not messing around. It's just that why should the word should and he doesn't link together very well. So I'm saying should he change it? Why should he change it? They shouldn't. That's like, it's the same thing with Genshin Impact. Raiden Mei was proven to be very popular. Yai Sakura was very popular. Branya is a popular character. So why should they change these IPs? They just take a little bit of inspiration, sprinkle a bit of Genshin fairy dust powder on them, and import them into Genshin Impact. And it's the same thing with Honkai Star Rail. The only game that so far seems like they're maybe going to take a pretty big risk is the Zenless Zone Zero title. They just want to reuse the character models. I mean, the character models are... That's true. Like, it's gotten to the point where you see the NPCs that appear in every single nation. They look like Catherine looks exactly the same. Like, would it kill them to make a new like why not make each commission person unique? Right, Mondstadt can have Catherine. Liyue could have... I was about to say something very racist, but like, again, I'm Chinese. Like Ling Ling or something like that. Hey, get off my back. Could have Ling Ling, right? Like, very adorable. Maybe Ling Ling is this girl who's like Chi-Chi's, and she's like, every time you go to the counter, Ling Ling is standing on a little stool trying to help you with your commissions and stuff. Like, that's very adorable. Why is it Catherine in every single region? That's hella lazy. And don't even get me started on the literal copy and pasted NPC in every region. It's just they're in different clothing. Ling Ling, you forgot Bling Bling. Pokemon has Nurse Joy and Jenny in every region. Yeah, I know. But then again, when it comes to Pokemon lore, I'm not crazy for Pokemon lore. But Genshin's lore is like a very big part of the game. So it's just like, lore-wise, to me, it just feels a little awkward to see the same. And no, the problem is, it's not just Catherine. It's like all the other NPCs that gets reused as well. I don't know. It really takes me out of it when I go into Natlin and there's people walking in the blazing sun, and then they're gonna look exactly like the people I see in Mondstadt. Lancer, the Imaginary. I get it because designing unique characters is very difficult and time consuming. But yeah, with that amount of money, they should at least put a little more effort. Because the thing is, they pretty much jacked everything from these regions from real life countries, right? Inazuma is based off of Japan. Just look at what people are wearing in Japan. Like back in the day, of course, because this stuff is all set in like kind of like an older era, right? Look at what people are wearing in Mondstadt. Look at what people are wearing in Japan, right? Sumeru, I don't remember which country it's strictly based on. Was it Egypt or was it where? I'm not sure. But just source ideas from there. Like look at Nilu's design. Like there's a lot of inspiration from those regions, right? Like, is it Middle Eastern region and their outfit and clothing? So it's just like, why are we I don't know. Like they put way too much effort in their limited characters and way too little effort in their NPCs. Again, yeah, NPCs are not going to make them money directly, and they've already got a huge player base who is head over heels for their lore, so they don't need to make the NPCs anything. Like it all goes back to the point where like why bother, right? When the bare minimum is good enough, why bother? I mean, obviously it's not the bare minimum, but when this level of effort is already more than enough for them, why should they even try to do more? It really sucks, man. It really sucks. Imagine the amount of immersion we would have had. Isn't India going to be a huge inspiration for Natlin? I don't know, like maybe we can we can watch the original trailer once again. Let's watch the original trailer once again. I mean, every single region has their OSTs that really slap.
We had no time to say goodbye, so let's not call it that. The war has already begun. It is just a continuation of past battles.
That's us,
the
right?
Gods
The
goad us on with
two
the
stars.
promise of their 7 treasures, rewards for the worthy, the doorway to divinity. Yet buried in the depths of this world lies smoldering remains, a warning to those that dare trespass. That throne in the sky is not reserved for you. But mortal arrogation never stops. None will escape the flames. See for yourself. The dragon who defended Mondstadt for a millennium finally faces his perturbation. What does freedom really mean when demanded of you by a god? The god of contracts, senselessly slaughtered as his people watched on in horror. In the end, he will sign the contract to end all contracts.
Can we just say the music really picks up at Inazuma? The Mondstadt and Liyue music like are like, it's just starting from Inazuma, the music just goes to another level.
In the secluded land of the immortal Shogun, the Bakufu rules eternal. But what do mortals see of the eternity chased after by their god? The god of wisdom's enemy is wisdom itself, and the oasis of knowledge is a mirage in the desert of ignorance. In the city of scholars, there is a push for folly, yet the god of wisdom makes no argument against it. The god of justice lives for the spectacle of the courtroom, seeking to judge all other gods. But even she knows not to make an enemy of the divine. The rules of war are woven in the womb, The victors shall burn bright, while the losers must turn to ash.
This has that the music from Natlan feels very, I'm not gonna be racist or culturally appropriating, it sounds Latin American. Does it not?
The rules of war are woven in the womb. The victors shall burn bright, while the losers must turn to ash. When the god of war shares this secret with the traveler, it is because she has her reasons. She is a god with no love left for her people, nor do they have any left for her. Her followers hope only to be on her side when the day of her rebellion against the divine comes at last. In the perpetual meantime of a sheltered eternity, most are content to live and not to dream. But in the hidden corners where the god's gaze does not fall, there are those who dream of dreaming. Some say a few are chosen and the rest are dregs. But I say we humans have our humanity. We will defy this world with a power from beyond.
So the abyss is what he's saying.
You who has set foot in this world. Your journey has reached its end, but one final doorway remains. Step forth if you have understood the meaning of your journey. Defeat me, command me to step aside. Show me that you are worthier than I to rescue her. Then, the threads of all fate will be yours to reweave.
What if Dainsleif is the final boss of the game? Actually, though. From the sound of it, Dainsleif sounds like the final boss. And does he even realize he's talking to the literal twin of the person he's like trying to rescue? Bro, I am literally blood related with this person. Who are you to tell me how I should or should not behave like? And why can't we both try to rescue them? Like, he basically gave us an ultimatum on how we're going to rescue our own relative. Come on, Dainsleif.
Step forth if you have understood the meaning of your journey. Defeat me, command me to step aside. Show me that you are worthier than I to rescue her. Then, the threads of all fate will be yours to reweave.
Some people also said that what if Dainsleif is Aether in the future, right? So the eye color is different. So I don't know if this is us. I mean, it could, but like, how are you going to explain the change in the eye color? But Aether doesn't age. Him and Lumine has been like looking like this since forever, right? But what if Aether struck a deal or something and gave up his immortal status and he started to age? Then yeah, he very likely could end up becoming like what's his name? Dainsleif. I don't know if Aether and Lumine are immortal or they just age very, very slowly. I don't know what the lore of that is. Yeah. So really, at the end, your guess is as good as mine. I love Genshin lore discussions. Like, trust me. Like, I don't talk about it very much because I don't want to get so deep into it and end up spoiling it for a bunch of people who oftentimes are saving the Archon quest. But now that we don't have much Archon Quest, I'm fully okay to go into headcanon lore discussion, like just freaking just talk about it. Oh, I forgot. I wasn't even on screen when I was playing this. It's because we just literally still like know nothing, right? And the story now in like the story in Fontaine. Unfortunately, the story in Fontaine is not going to provide us much more, because when it comes to lore and structure of story and info delivery, the point of Sumeru should be a very important, like, either turning point or like big reveal, which they did, right? They showcased a lot in Sumeru. Fontaine now is once again going to pit us back against a question, because there are some questions that were answered, very few, but there are questions that still remain unanswered. It's Fontaine's job to not only remind us, but dig us deeper into that pit, being like, okay, you should really now think about it like this. Think more in this direction. Fontaine is going to really point us in the direction we should be thinking of, but not give us much like answers, if that makes sense. Fontaine shouldn't give us another big reveal, because right now we're building a lot of like momentum to reach the climax. I think Fontaine, like Sumeru, we ended fairly strong in Sumeru. Fontaine, we probably are going to sustain this level of progression and just this current state of being. And Natlan, we might see a downfall. But like once we have the downfall in Natlan, or like either Natlan is not going to be the downfall, then Shaznia has to be the downfall, because a good story arc structure should have the protagonist be really put into peril, very difficult situation, and like believe it or not, we have yet to be put into that state. We have yet to be put into that position. Beluga Chan is actually dancing next to me. You guys can't see it. She just got back from the outside and she's very happy. Here, let me point the camera towards her. Okay, Beluga Chan, you have to come here. You have to come here and I'll tell you. Come here. Okay, why don't you wave to them? Hey! Okay, Beluga-chan, can you talk to us about what you think of Genshin Impact and its lore, and the importance of the Archons and how they influence the story?
Archons are gods. Living gods.
They couldn't hear the last part. Who's your favorite Archon? She said Mr. Zhongli because he has rock hard abs. Ah, okay. I see how it is. You don't like my unified nation here? You prefer divided abs? Oh, I see. You are in favor of war. You'll be the first one the Celestia takes out during the next coming war. Why are you still dancing? Ah, you'll find out later. Ah, I really want to know. Like, I know there's gonna be a big twist at the end, because that's just how HoYoverse likes to. That's just how HoYoverse likes to deliver the story. There's gonna be a twist. I just don't know what it is, and I really hope they do something with Paimon, because they're subjecting us to this kind of torture basically for 7 years. And if Paimon just ends up being just the mascot, I am so freaking disappointed. I will be so disappointed. I really hope there's some key to Paimon's existence, and she's not just the narrator of the story. Like, I would even be okay with this story being told by Paimon far in the future, after the big war at the end, and we've already moved on to another world, another realm, and Paimon is sitting here with a bunch of kids, right, like whatever, and there's no more like divided nation. The whole world has become one unified nation, or everybody has their nation still, but then, you know, Paimon is like this traveling whatever storyteller, and she's telling this story, this grand story of what happened, you know, eons ago, and Paimon never ages, never dies, so this maybe is like tens of thousands of years later, right, in a completely different Teyvat, far into the future, and Paimon's recapping this story for everyone to hear. Give her that role. Like, if you give her that role, like, okay, then it justifies her being with us the whole time. You just don't make her be like, oh my god, are you telling me that's the person that split up you and your sister? Wow, she looks so scary. Paimon doesn't know what I should do. It's like, bro, Paimon, read the freaking room. You're ruining the boss music. Like, honestly, Paimon ruins a lot of very tense moments. Really, she does. Like, you can be in the most dramatic moment with the BGM pumping, your heart rate is just freaking increasing. You're like, all right, let's do this. And then Paimon comes in and is be like, are you telling me that? Yes, I am telling you. Now shut the fuck up. Honestly, really want to tell her that sometimes, but you know, she's hard-coded into the game, man. There's nothing we can do. Chisel says, as much as I'm annoyed to the core by Paimon, my daughter actually needs her when she plays to help explain the story and keep it. I see it because Genshin Impact is a game that people from the ages of like 7 all the way to like 40, 50s, you can still play the game. The lore actually can, because there's not an insane amount of gore or stuff, like, so young children can play, but at the same time, the topics that the game actually, like the deeper topics that the game is discussing, is too difficult for a young child to grasp. Having Paimon there to spell everything out for them, it makes the game actually that much more interesting for them to play. So it makes sense. Ray says, Paimon, please shut the fuck up and let us cook. Yeah, sometimes I just want to cook, but Paimon won't let me. Like, I feel like I'm in a rated R moment. Just like, oh my god, I'm about to let loose. This is what I've been grinding for months of artifacts for. I'm about to go Super Saiyan. And Paimon's like, but wait, are you telling me that big bad guy is the person we're gonna have to stop, or else the whole world is gonna be... Oh my god. Like, it just ruins the moment. It kills the vibe. It makes me feel like I went from rated R straight back down, like rated M straight back down to PG-13, maybe even less. Rated E for everyone. Oh my god. Don't get me started. I 100% understand the hatred for Paimon. That's why I'm so desperate for Hoyoverse to give us some sort of reward. Give us some sort of reveal at the end. Maybe Paimon was our Gnosis. I don't know. Come on, guys. At this point, I don't know. What if Paimon wasn't real? What if Paimon was just a figment of our imagination personified? I don't know. At this point, Paimon is real because people have interacted with her. So she is real. People can see her. They can hear her. It's just most of the time people ignore her. Paimon is the Archon of knowledge? Nah, Paimon is the Archon of kill your vibe. Tech don't hate Paimon Wars. I know he does. A lot of people hate Paimon, especially people who just want to enjoy the story, because if you can understand the story, you can keep up with what the story is telling you and the deeper meaning. Like, it's actually a very enjoyable playthrough of the story of the lore. You're very invested in the Archon quest. But every time Paimon opens her mouth, it just reminds you that you're playing like this baby game. You're playing a kid's game or something like that. It really dumbs everything down too much. But I understand it's for... can we have the option of turning her off, though? Huh? Can we turn Paimon off? What if Paimon is solely here for the kids? Can we have a version of the game with Paimon and a version without, and I'll just play the game with a version without Paimon. Dim says Paimon is the one who makes interesting. Imagine Traveler without Paimon. Gonna be very boring to play. No, Dim. We have a traitor, chat. Traitor. we have a defector. Yumi Sumi says, but Walrus, kids don't need to understand everything. They can rewatch it when they get older. But I think Holyverse, and also I think Holyverse has wanted a mascot to sell. Like, no, if we really want to talk about the business side of it, I think Paimon, at the end of the day, this is going to be very disappointing, but it's true. Have you guys noticed every like major movie franchise has to have a mascot nowadays, because they're anticipating that eventually the movie's going to do well or the title's going to do well, and then they're going to sell the mascot as the mascot of the show or the game, and they're gonna make a big buck out of it, right? And it's very iconic. Everywhere people go, if they see the mascot, they're like, oh, that's Genshin, or that's blah blah, or that's Mario, that's Pokemon, right? Pikachu, Mario, Paimon, Pom Pom. It's like, and then they're gonna sell merchandises and stuff like that, keychains. It's just much more it's much easier when you have a mascot for the game. So at the end of the day, when it comes to Paimon's real reason, as boring as it sounds, it's just a corporate decision to have a mascot that you can like associate the title of Genshin Impact to. It really sucks. It does. It sucks to say it, but I think that's the most realistic reason for Paimon's existence. Does Nike have a mascot? Yeah, it's the check mark. It doesn't have to be a living breathing. It doesn't have to be a living breathing thing. Think of the mascot for these titles more as like the logo for the other thing. You need something to associate your brand with. That's what the logo is. Genshin Impact, as much as it does have a logo, the logo for Genshin Impact isn't nearly as interesting to look at as like a Paimon sticker, for example. Paimon is a god of time and wasting our time. Thank God we're basically immortal beings in this world. Would have been better if she doesn't do high-pitched screeching like CN Paimon. She's good there. Well, I mean, I think that's just what we ended up with, right? Like we ended up with this version of Paimon that the higher ups at Holyverse like, that's good. Can you make her more screechy? No. Oh, you can't do that? Oh, you think that's going to be too annoying for the players? No. I think we can push it. Try to go 1 octave higher. Yeah, let's re-record that bit with 1 octave higher. Like we need more high pitch, more screech. Dial it up to 11. Yeah. If you don't need throat medicine by the end of our recording session, you're not screeching enough. I think other than CN and JP Paimon, more annoying and high pitch. Yep. The voice isn't the issue, it's the long monologues. Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like when we're in the story, we're following along. It's like, imagine if you're watching a movie. Imagine watching Game of Thrones, and after every single dramatic moment, like the thing just pauses. Somebody comes on screen and has to basically say what they just said in a dumbed down version. Like a court jester just pops up. Be like, what Prince Joffrey just said is that he's gonna kill everybody. Like, okay, let's be honest, even that is like more interesting to listen to than what Paimon's doing. But just think about it. Every single major development in the story, the entire story, the show just pauses, and then somebody walks on screen, gives a monologue of exactly what they just said, but like dumbed down. That is infuriating to watch. Nobody can survive that show. But that's what Genshin Impact is basically forcing us to sit through. No, Walrus, Paimon is better. Make Paimon an adult body. Yeah, imagine if Paimon was like a mommy that was just traveling with us. Suddenly everybody would be like, Paimon best girl, right? It's because she's like literally this tiny, floating, weird creature that looks like that has the body of like a 2-year-old or 3-year-old and screeching at the. It's like basically you're traveling with a child. Can you imagine every field trip? Imagine traveling with a 3-year-old on your field trip. Like if you're going on a vacation, bring your 3-year-old or bring a 3-year-old with you. Can you imagine your vacation? Imagine going on a cruise trip with a 3-year-old. Imagine chilling at the beach with a 3-year-old. Imagine like going to the Bahamas with a 3-year-old. It just ruins it. Z3X says, imagine no more. I have child. This is like, that's basically what it feels like. Oh my god. And you can't do anything about it. You can't mute her. You can't skip her dialogue. You just gotta sit through it. You just gotta like, you gotta tank it. You gotta tank it. Oh, brother. I would replay all of Kafka if they made it so that Kafka was Paimon and she just re-explained everything in a condescending tone, like, I can't believe you don't get this. Yeah, with her stretched out way of talking and very breathy, airy way of explaining everything with a bunch of ups and downs in her voice. That's like, to me, it's borderline ASMR to listen to Kafka talk. Stop it, you're making fun. Or is casually convinced the whole chat to never have kids. Well, I mean, that's the bad part, is the early stage, because you can't reason with them, you can't communicate with them, you just have to tank it, right? Because they're kids, they're literal infants that don't know any better. So you just have to be patient and deal with it. It's a real test of your patience, right? And once you get past that stage, a lot of people say it gets worse because then they can run and talk and then they can talk back to you. But I would argue that no, once you have communication, sure, they might refuse what you're saying. They might refute. They might like, by the end of the day, as long as you can communicate, they can give you a reason back to you. Like right now, you can't even reason with Paimon. You can't even say things to her. So it's like a one-way thing. You just got to tank it. That's why it feels like dealing with an infant. You're literally knocking Paimon when Clique quests are hell on table. That's why I never play them. I can't play Clique quests. Clique quests just I can't touch those. It's too much. Not only do you have Paimon, but then you have Klee, and then sometimes they converse with each other, and I like, it's like babysitting 2 infants. You're literally babysitting 2 infants. You have no control over the situation. You go where they want to go, and you just have to be there monitoring them, making sure nothing bad happens. You're literally a glorified babysitter at that point. I can't do it. I played it once and I'm like, no, never again. I can't do this. This is why Jean is stressed. Yeah, Jean is hella stressed. Jean just like gives her times out, like times her out for like a whole day at a time. Like, Jean, I swear, Jean just locks her in the freaking room for like 24 hours without even checking up on her once. Like, I at that point, I think Jean just forgot. Corpses, I actually didn't know that Genshin is a kid's game. Like what? I think on the surface level, it's like a very kid-friendly game. But it has its deeper meanings and deeper like topics that it's trying to teach us, which then makes teenagers or young adults able to play it as well. And I know people who are in the 30s and 40s who play Genshin. Like, yeah, it's like Genshin is a pretty well written game. Like, I do give it that praise. But yeah, that's it for today's live stream. My goodness, we had a blast today. Oh, never did I thought a Wednesday could end up being so spectacular. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys on Saturday. We have 3 more live streams after this. This is literally the 4th live stream before I go to China. We have 3 more live streams. I hope we can all enjoy them as much as we did this one. So yeah, if you guys want, comment down in the comment section. Press the like button if you guys want to support the channel, because liking it, commenting it for some weird reason helps the channel grow, helps push this to other people. And I would love to see what other people have to say. Give input to the lore in the comment section below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for those who chatted, for those who just listened, tuning in. Amazing. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Until then, urge y'all to stay safe. Peace, peace. Bye. 3 more left. 3 more live streams. Make sure to catch them. Bye. Bye.